Hi, this is Skim.net. My name's Aaron.
My name's Terrell. Today we're going to show you how to make the spinning blades for Athena Aspis from Borderlands, the free sequel. We made this for all under $20, and we'll show you how to do it yourself at home from parts that you can easily order off of our website or off of Amazon. So, enjoy.
So this first bit is the prototyping process I did with my daughter. We basically just knew we needed a circle, we needed the spin, and we needed blades off of it. So we just tried making it and then testing it by her holding the bolt and me putting the motor to it and then seeing if the blade spin. Once that was good, then we went on to the full process of actually making the final version of it for the shield. So I showed you the prototyping process I did with my daughter. And that was to basically test that the concept was going to work. The original design, as you saw, was a circle with a ridge on it. And then attached to the ridge were little L brackets that stuck up. And then the concept, I guess that's not the right direction, is it? And the concept was that these L brackets would then hold the blade and then would help basically by having a bolt there going through it would thread through it and allow them to swing up. This didn't work because when you had the bolt, when you had the circle like this and then they were basically hanging off like this, I made a little stem on each of these, and when they came off it was like this, but this was still, the angle that they took was still bigger than the shield, so you would have these blades sticking out of the side of the shield. And the whole point was I want the blades to be behind the shield when they're retracted, and then when they start spinning, centrifugal force should push the blades out so that you see them kind of coming out, and then obviously when there is no more spinning, that would make no force outward from the middle of the circle, which would then let the blades retract with some kind of a retraction system. So what I came up with is that circle was too small to be able to have a large enough angle to have the blades actually go all the way in. So what we ended up doing is that the shield itself is about 15 inches in diameter. Okay? That gives us a radius of 7.5. Alright, so the blades need to be, what was it? They need to be 9, so the blades are somewhere around 12 inches altogether. So to go from the center of the shield all the way out, they're about 12 inches. Okay, so that means all the way across they're 24 inches, but that doesn't matter because honestly we just need to deal with where they're going to be on here. Okay, so we have our blade being 12 inches out, and we want it to be able to retract. Well, if we want the largest angle that we can get for the spinning blade so that they can go behind it, because we need to fit 6 blades behind there, so that's a lot of junk to have to sit there. Obviously we're going to want them at optimum angles, so we want them as far apart and equal space as we can. So we would put these on obviously your 45-degree angles all the way around. So what I did was, since we had a 15-inch circle, I just made a 14-inch circle that sat inside of that one. So I guess I'll just draw this outer circle, and this one is now the 15-inch circle, so that's what the shield is. And then this is 14 inches now. Let's make that look prettier. Okay, and this is a cardboard circle. In the middle of this circle, I have put a bearing. This is just a skateboard bearing. You can get them off Amazon. I'll have them linked below. But they're 5/16 inch skateboard bearing. That means a 5/16 inch inner circle right here. And the outer circle, basically all I did was I hot glued it to the cardboard, okay? Then I took the blade, and I wanted the blade as close to the end as possible so that they would have the maximum angle. Okay, so wherever I put this is how large the angle is going to be, so I wanted it as close as possible, but I still wanted it to be able to retract in. The blades were 2 inches across, and this is an inch short, so I gave myself a half of an inch clearance. So what I did is I went 1.5 inches in. So from here to here is 1.5 inches, and I put bolts on each of those. So we had those 45-degree angles I was talking about. So there's one like here. So 1.5 inches in, I'd put a bolt. Alright, and this is going to basically go through the back, and I'd put, so you'd have the screw and the fasteners on the back, and you basically put those in, and I hot glued them. As long as you make the hole for the bolt a little bit bigger, it's going to slide freely in there, okay? So you have this, and the blade, I just made a small portion, just like we originally had, that was about 2 inches long, so it would stay behind it because you basically have a little bit of clearance on these sides. And then the blade comes out like this, okay? Now all together, the blade was 10.5 inches from tip to point, okay? And this was just 45-degree angle cut, so just cut it down that way. And then you do this 6 times all the way around. So you put a bolt, do it again. Like I said, 2 inches on that, make it 10. This is 10.5. Again. You do that for each of the sides on here, okay? Now for the actual folding back in part, this is where it got a little bit more interesting. So after you have your blades in the right angles and everything like that, we're going to erase this so we can get a side view here. Okay. So the problem is that you have a flat surface like this, and you've got basically your cardboard for the blade itself, and then you have a bolt going through it, and it comes through the back here, and then that is in a bolt on the back that's basically got some hot glue on it, okay? So we have it like this, but this blade is just resting on the cardboard surface I made for that circle, the 14-inch circle that I put inside of it. So I need to make sure that the blade's going to, A, go up over the circle, so I don't have it just basically getting clipped on the cardboard itself. So I need a guide that's going to push it up over, as well as when you have these things in a circle, at the degree that I want them to be at, if they're going to work, they have to basically sit like this, which means that at every 45 degree, you're going to have a blade that's basically overlapping one other blade. And so you have this kind of cascading effect that happens. So what I ended up doing is, if you look on this, to make sure that the blades went over each other and didn't run into them, I made a little ramp. Okay? All you're going to basically do is you get a flat piece of cardboard, then you're going to bend it so that it's like this. Alright? And then you basically take this part of the cardboard and tear off the bottom of it. And then what you'll end up getting is the flat part you can glue down to the surface. So this is your surface. Flat part you glue down to the surface, and then you leave this part hanging up here. So you get a little ramp. You want this right up, so if this is your edge, you want like the edge of the circle, so it goes all the way around here, like that. You want that ramp right there, and then going up, and then this is going to be your back part. Okay? So this way, when the blade, so the blade's out, when it retracts in, it'll retract in such a way that it hits this ramp goes up and is like this, and then it's lifted up a little bit. What that'll do is it'll cause the blade at the next area, so when you're looking at it, the blade will lift up, so you already have like a blade down. When this blade is coming, well, I guess that blade won't. But, yeah, when this blade is coming down, it's going to get lifted up by a ramp that's right here. And then it will basically go over top of this blade so that it will sit, you know, flat. Like that, so you won't have any problems. So that would be your end result, would be your blades sitting on top of each other, and then you can have them fully retracted like that. Easy enough, pull these blades in, you have the blades all around on the side. All you're going to do is basically you need to adjust, you have your ramps as well, so you need to remember that you have ramps that are going each of the sides here, that are going to have a part up here that's basically sticking up to stop the blade from going too far in. And then they're basically down to the bottom of the 14-inch disc at the end. You have one of these on each section, or each blade. Hopefully more to scale on yours. You have your bearing in the middle, and then you need something that's going to basically hold the blades in, okay? So depending on which way that your motor is designed, you can, you're going to want to go with whatever the rotation is. So if your blades are supposed to be spinning this way, then obviously you want your blades tipped backwards. If your blades are tipped going this way, then you want your blade going that way. And then when they come back, what you want to do is about, what I found, is about 3 inches from the bottom, pretty close to the bottom right here, or you could say about an inch up from this, the cut-in that we have right there. You attach yourself a rubber band, and you just take the rubber band and wrap it around. You're going to take the rubber band and put it through the hole on the end, and so you'll basically be able to thread it through it. And then once you thread it through it, you just pass it back through itself. So you'll end up with a little knot. Here. You'll end up with a knot like that. So it'll be good like that. And then you're going to have to put, that rubber band is going to be attached to the hole there. And then you have another little screw that you're just going to put here into the cardboard and just glue it to it. And you'll wrap the rubber band around it. Alright, and you're going to have to adjust the angles on that because it's going to depend on what kind of rubber bands you use. These are just normal office supply rubber bands, but depending on which ones you end up using, you're going to want not strong ones. So I would suggest the rubber band, office supply rubber bands like this. But depending on what you're going to use is how far away you're going to need to put the bolts. And I would just test them by pulling the blade out and letting go, because you want them to pull back when you're letting go, and you don't want a ton of resistance on them. So basically I'm saying that you want the rubber band tight enough to where it actually snaps back in really well, because some of those blades are going to be hanging off of the bottom of this, and you want them to be able to overcome gravity when you are having them come back up. So they got to fight against gravity as well, so you want to make sure that those rubber bands are tight enough to where they can come out. I would just say make sure that they snap back in, and then they should be able to overcome gravity at that point. You don't want them too tight that they don't come out, though, because obviously how fast your engine's going to be pushing them is how much force you're going to be generating, and that's going to determine, you know, the rubber band's going to be fighting against it wanting to go out, so you don't want it too tight and pulling it back in. Alright, so in the end, you end up with the Athena shield with the blades on the back. As you can see from looking into the shield, there's that 12-volt motor we have linked below. The direct Amazon link is right there. I used some rubber bands to create a tension system to hold the gears together for the shield. The gears that are there are from a DVD player. You can extract them from DVD players from computers, or like your regular old DVD players like your mom and dad had and whatever before you got Netflix and got cool. Right here you see some corrugated cardboard right here. I did 6 stacks of these to basically hold the motor in place so it didn't like wobble around. At the bottom here, so this whole thing is basically built around a 6-inch long and a 1/4-inch thick bolt, okay? And that bolt, the head is down here, and I put a piece of EVA foam, hot glued it to there, and then I bondoed up through the corrugated cardboard the bolt into place, okay? Before you obviously put the motor in there, you're going to want to solder the wires to the bottom of the motor. Then you run these up. These are 5/16 inch washers, so they're just a little bit bigger than those the 1/4-inch bolt. And then the nuts are of course 1/4-inch, so they meet the bolt. Basically I made the washers a little bit bigger so that you can thread the wire through the washers. So I threaded the wire through this washer and up through this gear, up through the corrugated cardboard circle we made here that I just showed you how to make. As you can see, these are the bolts and the nuts right there. This goes through a 5/16 inch skate bearing that I'll have linked below the video that you can go directly to. Okay, these are just whatever bolts you want from Lowe's. It doesn't really matter the size. I believe that these were 5/16 inch bolts that just came with the nuts as well, so I just used those. As you can see right here, it's a corrugated cardboard again. Just to show you really quick, this is the snap I'm talking about. When you get the blades done, just pull them out and make sure they snap back in. You can see in there the ramps that I was talking about as well, how they kind of go up to the end there and then they have a little push up, and then you can also see the rubber bands down at the bottom there that basically go behind each of these and pull them back. We also painted the blades. In the middle there, if you look really hard, I have a bolt going down to the top of the bearing. This is just to hold this cardboard in place so it doesn't wobble around a whole ton when the blades start spinning. Then the wires continue to go up through another bolt, which is basically 2 bolts that are holding a 5/16 inch washer right there in place, and then another bolt and another washer to hold the back of the shield in place. And then you get to the back of the shield. The wires I threaded up through the side because I used the metal back because I had a lamp that was easily accessible and I just used that. But if you use wood or something, you could burrow a 5/16 inch hole through the middle of this and just do the washers on both sides. Alright, so then you have all the battery packs in here, as you can see. So we have 2 3 battery packs and then 1 2 AA battery pack. That gives us up to 8 batteries. Times 1.5 gets us close to the 12 volts. And then basically what you do is you do a serial connection. That's going to be your positive to the negative on each of the battery packs. Okay, so you go positive negative on one, then positive negative on the next one. And then you'll have a positive coming out of one and a negative coming out of another one. Negative, you're just going to hook straight up to your engine. Okay, so that should, hopefully you wired it with a black wire as your negative, so it was obvious. Black, negative, positive, red. And then your positive, one side of your positive, the one that's coming from your motor, goes to one side of your switch. And then to your other side of the switch is the positive coming from your battery pack. That way when you turn on, it'll turn on and you'll be good to go. Okay, then I just used some craft foam, put that in there, cut it around these. This is just hot glue and EVA foam. Obviously it's a little rough because no one ever looks at the back of the shield, except for you guys. EVA foam, just hot glue to the back of this metal to hold it in place. That's just to keep it sturdy. This one's obviously your grip. This one is to put your arm through. It was made for Aaron, so it's obviously a little bit smaller than me. And that's it. Pretty much after you get that all wired up, you should be able to turn it on and you're all good to go. And there's a shield there front for you, which that video also will be linked below of how to make the shield front. And that's it. That's how you make it.
Thanks for watching. Again, this is Skip.net. This video was about the retractable blades for under $20. If you're wondering how we made this amazing front of the shield, there's actually another tutorial video, just the Athena Aspis tutorial build, or something like that. Aspis, just look on our videos, you'll see it. And I'll show you how to make the front of it, and then we just showed you how to make the whole back of it. So if you liked what you saw here,
subscribe to the channel. You can follow us on all the different social networks, or you can actually check out the website, because theskim.net is a website.
and we're the skim.net, D-O-T-net, on all of those social networks that you can follow us on. Okay? Thanks for watching.
You can't throw this.
Maybe.
You can, but it won't come back. Might break.